Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 20 career mode here in MotoGP, and we're here for the 16th round of the season at Thailand. So first thing we'll do then, we'll look at the championship standings just to give a quick refresher of what happened in the previous episode. So obviously Marquez absolutely dominated in Aragon. We managed to salvage second position from 7th on the grid, which wasn't the worst starting position. I believe it was 7th actually, and we managed to get second, so it wasn't too bad. So we gained 5 points back on us, which brings the championship lead back up to 41 points. But obviously with 5 races to go, a quarter of the season left, it's still possible to bring that down, especially if Marquez has some bad luck. So we're just hoping that something will happen to him at some point in this season. And in the Teams Championship, we moved ahead of Petronas Yamaha because I actually outscored Quartararo by quite a bit and Morbidelli by even more. So that's obviously what we're going to try and hold on to the end of the season. Constructors Championship, we're currently in second place. I'm going to try and hold on to that. We've got quite a big lead over Yamaha, so if we can keep bringing home the good results, we should be able to get the second in the Constructors and the fourth in the Teams Championship, and hopefully the first in the Riders Championship. But it is going to be a difficult challenge to do. So without any further ado then, we'll head into Thailand and I'll see you in qualifying 1. So here we are then in qualifying 1 at the Chang International Circuit. I'm not too sure about the AI's pace here. I don't know if it's any good or if it's really bad. So in this session then, we've got Nakagami and Espargaro who haven't got through. So Petrucci, Morbidelli and Miller were the ones that got through this time, because obviously it always seems to be the same sort of 5 that end up in qualifying 1. All of the top guys always seem to get straight through. So it should be a little bit easier without having to fight any for the GP20s. Obviously we've got Bagnaia, but he's not quite as quick as the other GP20 riders, so it should be fairly easy to get through, hopefully, if we've got decent pace. So I'll head straight out then and do a flying lap, and hopefully that'll be good enough to get us through, and if not, we'll have to just do another run. So we go down towards the final turn then. Obviously Chang is all about really the hard braking zones, a little bit similarly to actually Motegi that's up next. And my bike is still not great in those sections. I think it's because the engine braking hasn't been upgraded at all. So it actually does make us suffer a little bit on the hard braking zones. Not that it particularly matters anyway, because it seems like we can outbrake the AI very, very easily. So we just come out in front of Aleix Espargaro then. So obviously in Aragon we had a couple of collisions with people coming out the pit lane, but this time we've managed to avoid any sort of incident with Aleix Espargaro, which is nice. So a 10th down then in the first sector, which is usually about right. We're usually 1 to 2 tenths off on the very first lap through the first sector. Not sure what it is. Obviously the first corner here is quite tricky. In fact, it's very, very similar to the first corner at Austria in a way. It's one of the other things that these tracks have in common, other than the ridiculous track limits. Obviously we've just gone on the green a little bit there, but not too badly. We're actually going red in this sector, so that's good. So 12 thousandths underneath. So we go through the long sort of turn 6, all the bike turn. Yes, obviously it does turn a lot better than it did earlier on in the season. I think we would really have struggled here if it was actually at round 4 like it should have been. Obviously it got moved to later on in the season in the game, because it's based on a slightly later calendar than the initial one because of the old pandemic. But then we're nearly 2 tenths away then in the third sector. So we go through turn 10, sliding the rear tyre, flipping the bike over through turn 11. Down the straight towards the last corner, hitting the brakes then. Have we gone in a little bit too hot? No, actually we've hit the apex beautifully. Well, we missed it a little bit, but we've made the corner pretty nicely. So up towards the line then. What's the time going to be? 29.9 then. That is currently pole position, but we'll keep going. Hopefully I can do something a little bit quicker. So half a second underneath in the first sector. That is a massive time gain. 8 tenths in the second sector. Only 6 tenths in the third sector, so we lost a little bit of time there. So up towards the line then. Half a second then, faster than the previous lap. We're almost out of fuel, so we will have to head back to the pits, but hopefully that should be good enough to go through, because no one had actually beaten the previous lap time yet. So then that was in fact good enough to go through, and the first time actually would have been as well, which is quite strange. Usually the first lap is not good enough to go through, but we improved it by about half a second, and there you go, we were fastest by about half a second as well, since they were very, very close to my previous time, only a few hundredths off. So it's a good job we did improve, otherwise it would have been a little bit too close for comfort. Nakagami going through with us then, so Aleix Espargaro, unfortunately for him, not going through. Bagnaia on the GP20, that's pretty disappointing, not going through once again as well. Mir has really not been that great this season. I don't know why his AI is so poor in the game. It should probably be a little bit better. Other KTMs then, so we've got Pol Espargaro in 6th, 7th for Oliveira, 9th for Binder, and Lecuona is 12th ahead of Rabat then. But it seems like no one's got any glitch times this time, where they're like about a million seconds off the pace. But hopefully Oliveira can try and get some points. I think Lecuona might be a bit too far behind, but you never know, some chaos could happen. If you remember back to the Moto2 race here last year, it was absolutely ridiculous. There was a massive crash on the straight that took out, well actually my title rival, my teammate, I think it took out Sam Lowe's as well. It took out loads of riders on this straight, so these mass collisions can happen, so you never know. But we're heading to qualifying 2 now, and hopefully, with this kind of pace, we should be able to try and get on pole. So we're here in qualifying 2 then now, and we've got lots and lots of tyres to use up, since we only used one set of tyres in that first qualifying session. So we'll head out straight onto the track, try and do some fast laps once again like we did in the previous session. So here we go, then out the last corner, bit of a wheelie coming up towards the line. So we go down towards the first corner, then got to hit those braking zones right. It does take a couple of laps to get used to them, to be honest. We've gone in very, very wide, so it's not going to be such a good lap here. It's coming out the pits. We'll go to the right hand side to avoid them. It's Takaki Nakagami, the other rider that came through Q1 with us, but we've gone past him on the straight there, so we don't have to try and pass him in the corner, so that is nice and helpful. So hitting the brakes then for this corner, so we're half a tenth down, which isn't actually too bad considering how wide we went through the first corner. We definitely lost a bit of time. It's quite a strange corner, the first one here. It actually isn't faster to track extend. You think it would be, but it is actually slower. I've learned that from lots of people doing that online. Someone just spawned in front of me, I'm sure of it, for a second. That's just actually put me off so much into that braking zone. I don't know if I'll replay the footage back on the video, but yeah, the name tag just sort of appeared in the middle of the straight. But we're nearly 3 tenths down now in the second sector. Through turn 6 and sliding the rear end, flicking the bike over through 7, back on the power again, sliding it through once again, down the straight towards this right-hander of turn 8. Missing the apex a little bit there, it's actually not a great line through there, but will we have gained any time in this sector? No, we're nearly 7 tenths off, so we're losing quite a bit of time. We'll have to see what this time is and compare it sort of to our qualifying 1 time. But it's not unusual that we won't be as quick as in Q1. That's happened quite a few times this season where I've done a much faster lap in Q1. It's quite strange. So we hit the brakes then for the final turn. I've actually gone in probably a little bit too hot, to be honest. We'll try and pick up the bike anyway, get out the last corner, come up towards the line. Then what's the time going to be? Yeah, 1 minute 30.1, so not slower than our first lap in Q1. So we'll try and do another one. Hopefully it'll be a bit quicker. So 15 thousandths down in the first sector. Quartararo's gone faster with a 29.8. 2 tenths underneath in the second sector. 89 thousandths quicker in the third, so they're gaining some time back. So out the last corner, then we went in actually a bit wide, so we might have lost time there coming up towards the line. We have beaten it by a tenth of a second, so we actually still gained time in the last sector despite going in so wide. So we'll have to head back to the pits and get some more fuel since we've got 0.1 laps of fuel left. So put on a new set of tyres, so we've got more tyres to burn than we normally would in this session. Marquez has now gone fastest, so we need to try and beat him. So Marquez's pole time currently is actually still slower than our qualifying 1 time, so if we can put a decent lap together, we should be able to beat that. Because the qualifying 1 lap wasn't perfect either. So a tenth underneath in the first sector, 3 tenths underneath in the second, 37 thousandths underneath in the third, so we lost a bit of time in the third sector again. So towards the line then, what's the time going to be? 29.2, 3 tenths quicker than Marquez's time. I'll go for one more, hopefully we'll beat that as well. So on the inside of Marquez on the brakes then, so actually a tenth away in the first sector. But oh, I've crashed! Oh, that's a bottle there. Lost the front. Marquez had just come out the pit, so we will have just seen that as well. But I do think that'll probably be good enough for pole, the lap we had done previously. I don't think there'll be enough time for us to go back to the pits, get the bike repaired and come back out again, unfortunately. But yeah, a bit of a mistake there, trying to trail too much brake into that corner. I have no words right now. We've just been absolutely cheated out of that pole position by a glitched time by Cal Crutchlow on 1 minute 23.7. 5 seconds faster than everybody else. I saw that I was second, I was like, oh, who's beat me? I saw it was Cal, and I was thinking, wow, he must have done a good lap. And I looked at the gap and saw 5.4 seconds. So we've actually been cheated out of a pole position by Cal Crutchlow here. Somehow there's been some sort of glitch that's awarded him pole. I have no idea. I have no idea what's happened here and why he now has a 23.7 as his fastest lap. But it's one of those things, I guess. So we're going to have to try and pass him earlier on. But we are still beating Marquez, Quartararo and Dovizioso as well. Rossi down in 8th place. Where's Vinales? Vinales 10th. Morbidelli in 11th place and Nakagami in 12th. So Morbidelli a bit farther down the order, so that does help us out in the Teams Championship. But Quartararo is quite close to us. But let's head into this race then. We need to try and pass Crutchlow as quickly as we can off the start. And hopefully Marquez doesn't get past us. And if he does, hopefully Crutchlow will get in his way. So here we are on the grid then, looking at Marc Marquez in 3rd place. I'm going for the soft medium here because it is actually cloudy weather, which might affect things a little bit. But to be honest, a soft wouldn't make it to the end regardless. I would have probably gone for a medium even if it was a sunny race. So it doesn't make a massive difference to me, if I'm totally honest. But we should be lining up on pole, but instead we're lining up in 2nd position because Cal Crutchlow has managed to get some glitched pole position. But hopefully he doesn't get in our way too much. We can try and get past him straight away off the start. But let's get this race started. Marquez is the target in this race, not Crutchlow. So there is Cal Crutchlow then on his pole position. Myself in second place, the rightful pole sitter, and Marquez in third, the rightful second place man. Waiting for the lights to go out here at the Chang International Circuit. Lights and away we go. We've not actually had the best start there. Crutchlow's had a pretty good start, to be honest. Marquez has already raced past us to go towards the first corner. Is Marquez going to go for it on Crutchlow? I've done a massive stoppie, so that's a big mistake there. We lost position to Vizioso there, and we've gone on the green on the exit as well, which is probably not ideal. But Marquez is already looking for a way past Crutchlow, and we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow him to get to the front and pull away once again. Obviously I did a massive stoppie because the tyre was so cold. Marquez looking for a move on Crutchlow, but he can't quite do it right now. They've all gone a bit wide through turn 3. I'm trying to get the cut back, try and get past Vizioso. If I can get a bit of slipstream on him, that would be quite helpful. Miller is behind us apparently, although I can't see Miller anywhere behind us. But yeah, he's now 10th, so I don't know what happened. He must have done some insane dive into that corner and lost a load of positions on the exit. For now, Crutchlow's still leading, which isn't the end of the world, because obviously he's still beating Marquez, but I don't want to fall back from these leaders. So through the last corner then, at the end of the first lap, we've got a really good run on Vizioso. There we go, past Vizioso, so up into third place now. Marquez is the next target, and hopefully able to get him very, very shortly. Obviously we've had the pace the entire weekend at this circuit, so we should be able to easily catch up to them both and pass them. Hopefully Crutchlow can actually help us out in this race and maybe hold Marquez back a little bit. It's the least he could do after stealing our pole position anyway. Marquez looking back at me then on this straight, try and get some slipstream off him. It's a bit of a distant tow, but we're coming up towards the third sector in a second, so they're probably going to be a bit quicker than me through there. Try not to clip that inside curb too much. We've actually gone in a bit wide, so we made a bit of a mistake there. So coming through the last corner once again. We lose so much time, but then gain it all back on the brakes into the last corner. We've had a beautiful exit off that last corner then. Crutchlow doing a 30.3. We're looking for a move on Marquez into the first corner on the inside. We did a 30.0. So we've taken second position away from Marquez. He's trying to run around the outside of us, but I'm not having any of that. So we're up into second place now. Crutchlow is the next guy we've got to pass. But here comes Marquez back on the straight. Will he be able to blast past us? It doesn't look like it. We've managed to hold him behind for now. So I'm focusing on Crutchlow. Once again through the last corner, closing up on Crutchlow, but I don't think it's going to be enough to pull a move on him. 29.8 on that lap, so another fastest lap of the race. We go on the exit of the first corner then. We've got a pretty good run, but we actually lost a bit on the curve there, but we are very, very close to Crutchlow. We've gapped Marquez behind a little bit. So Crutchlow's actually got some good pace, even though obviously the pole position was a bit glitched. We're going around the outside of Crutchlow. I didn't expect to actually do that into turn 3. We've gone around the outside of him. Is he going to be able to still have the move? He's still on the inside. I'm trying to run it around the outside again on the exit of turn 3, side by side with Cal Crutchlow down the straight. I didn't expect it'd be Crutchlow I'd be fighting the victory for when we went into the weekend, but we've got in front of him now. He's weaving side to side. I have no idea what he's doing. Like, you do that a little bit maybe to prevent a wheelie, but you wouldn't do it at the end of the straight, so I have no idea what he was really doing. The AI being a little bit weird there. We've got ahead of Crutchlow now, so we need to try and build out a gap, and hopefully Crutchlow can try and stay ahead of Marquez. So out of the last corner then, what is the gap to Crutchlow at the end of this lap? 29.7, another fastest lap, 6/10 ahead of Cal. So at the end of the 5th lap then, not such a good lap, 30.0 again, but we're now 9/10 ahead of Crutchlow, so we are getting out of his range now. So coming towards the line then, 30.1, only 8/10, so actually Crutchlow was faster than me on that lap, because now I'm starting to try and save some fuel. So towards the line at the end of this lap then, 30.3, I'm just getting slower and slower every lap, and Crutchlow's actually catching me. So through the final corner then, on the penultimate lap, Crutchlow's actually right behind me now. It's very, very unsettling. We're back into the 29s, 6/10 of a second, the gap over Crutchlow. I'm having to run power mode 0 just because we're so marginal, which is really not helping. So down towards the last corner then, I think we'll just keep Crutchlow behind us, but I don't know how he got so much faster in the race than he was in qualifying. Well, he got the ridiculous lap time in qualifying. He was about 5 seconds slower in the race, but both the Hondas really gave me a good run there. So apparently Valentino did a 29.5, which actually I can kind of believe, but I don't think he did. He had like so much less pace. You can see us three all cleared off. We were about 5 seconds clear of everybody else, but Cal Crutchlow, really the MVP, getting that glitched pole position. I expected him to just completely drop back, but he's actually managed to hang on to 2nd place, which is a good ride to him. Only 9/10 ahead of Marquez as well, so it was a really, really close race. I was thinking I'd have it in the bag. I was 10th and 10th a lap faster, but in the cloudy conditions, I just didn't have it. I didn't have the tyre grip I needed, so I couldn't do the same sort of lap times. Obviously we had the medium tyre on as well, but after about halfway through the race I was just doing sort of Q1 times, and that was enough for them to sort of stay with me. But thanks to Crutchlow actually retaining that second place, we gained 9 points on Marquez, so that's very, very crucial. So we've undone what he did in the previous episode and still gained some on him, so that's really important. Morbidelli and Quartararo 8th and 10th, and Morbidelli actually beating Quartararo, so we should be able to gain some good points on them in the Teams Championship. Unfortunately, none of my teammates scoring points then. Oliveira ending up 20th and Ike Lecoina ending up last place. The other KTMs as well not scoring any points with 18th and 21st. So the championship lead is now down to 32 points with 4 races to go, so this is getting very, very tight. Dovizioso 76 points down on Marquez. In fact, I'm actually closer now to Marquez than I am to Dovizioso. I don't know if that was already the case, but it definitely is now. Quartararo over 100 points back, so Quartararo actually can no longer win the championship with 4 races to go. He's 108 points behind, so it's just mathematically now between Marquez, myself and Dovizioso. Cal Crutchlow with that fantastic second place actually moves up in the championship to 6th place. So in the Teams Championship then we gain lots of points on Patronity Yamaha. We're now 13 points clear of them, which is quite a bit. Obviously in the Teams Championship you can have a bigger swing per race, but that is quite a nice gap to have. Obviously we only had a couple of points over them beforehand, so that is quite nice to see. So it looks like Repsol Honda have got this one in the bag with a 41 point lead, but it could still all come tumbling down on them, you never know. But Mission Winner and Ducati and Monster Energy Yamaha, those two could still swap. There's not that many points between them, and obviously you can have a big swing per race, so do keep your eye on that battle. And then the Constructors' Championship, we're actually getting quite clear of Yamaha now, because once again Yamaha not doing particularly well. Rossi being their highest scorer, and Rossi actually not too far away from Viñales in the championship now. It's not entirely impossible that Rossi could beat Viñales in this championship, and after the atrocious start to the season Valentino Rossi had, I'm sure he would take that. It was an absolutely awful start, wasn't it, for the Doctor. I feel bad for Aprilia though, only having the 9 points of course, really not scoring many, and I'm guessing if I wasn't in KTM they'd probably actually have less than that, because I've seen very rarely as a KTM got into the points. So then we'll head into Parc Fermé, then the career hub, and we'll end off the episode there. So our 5th victory of the season now, if I'm counting correctly, but I could have miscounted, so do let me know if I've forgotten one or added one on. It's actually looking really good. The bike is pretty good now. Obviously, we struggled quite a bit in that race, a lot more than I thought we would, so that is a little bit worrying. But up next is Motegi, which has been a happy hunting ground for us in the past. Obviously, once again, quite a lot about hard braking, so it does suit my riding style pretty well. So there we are on the top step with Crutchlow and Marquez. And Crutchlow really surprised me. Obviously, the glitch pole position, but also just the pace he had in the race was electric. So he probably would have qualified really well anyway, but it was fantastic pace. But there we are then, spraying the champagne with Marquez, but we've brought his lead down to 32 points. So then that weekend we gained 9,350 reputation points, which takes us up to 419,150. And once again that beautiful salary of 32,863 credits takes us up to 620,341. So we've got a lot of credits now. So then we've got no notifications or anything like that. I suppose we are at the point of the season where you don't particularly get so many notifications. So that takes us to the end of the episode. So I hope you guys did enjoy that one. Obviously a little bit of a surprise to all of us there, with Cal Crutchlow being near the front and of course the actual pole position itself. But it was a very entertaining race. Obviously we didn't have the best start as well. Dropped back to 4th place, managed to get past Dovi pretty easily, got past Marquez pretty easily, and actually got past Crutchlow pretty easily. But once we got about 6 tenths in front, I think I got up to a second. I think that's the maximum I ever got. I saw the gap, literally exactly a second. It was at the end of the first sector on one of the laps, and after that, he just started matching my lap times. I think I was making a lot of mistakes as well, to be fair, but the tyres didn't feel great. I think it's just because it was cloudy, which you think it wouldn't make much of a difference, but when you're picking a medium tyre, it can get quite cold in the cloudy weather, but I couldn't do a soft because it wouldn't have made it to the end. Perhaps it actually would have done in hindsight, I'm not 100% sure, but I never risk it with a soft rear in the race because that's just asking for trouble. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy that video then, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next video.